Hey guys, my name is Matsumo, and today we finally know all the details about what we can be expecting from the new season of Rainbow Six Siege called Operation Neon Dawn. It's going to be coming with some pretty big buffs and nerfs to a few of the operators, including Jager, Hibana, and Echo, and also includes one of the most bizarre new characters that we've seen in quite some time. And so to start things off, we have the new operator named Aruni, who is a combination between CanCan, Castle, and Jäger. Now, I know what you're thinking. What? 3 different operators in one? And that was my first reaction. The way that she works is that she's able to place her gate gadget on a doorway or even on a wall. It then creates this laser barrier, which you're seeing directly in front of you, and the only way to disable it, because to my knowledge, this thing is literally completely indestructible. You cannot remove it from the map entirely, but to turn it offline for a short while, you can pass on through with your operator, which deals 40 damage. That's the reason why I said it was like CanCan before. Or you can throw a gadget on through. The reason why earlier I said that she sort of acts as Jäger to some extent is that anything that passes on through is going to get neutralized. This could be a nade, a flash, a smoke. It could be even a drone or Yana's gadget. Anything that causes that laser grid to deactivate is also going to be neutralized. The twist on it though is that after 30 seconds of the grid being down, anyone on defense then has the ability to reactivate the gate. All you have to do is shoot at the gadget really quickly, and then the laser grid is back up and running. If all of that wasn't enough though, she's also gonna have access to the Roni, which admittedly isn't all that unreasonable, but she's also gonna be able to use the MK14 DMR. This obviously is the only DMR on defense. Now I know what you're thinking, because this was my first reaction. Defense is gonna be able to have a 3x optic. Thankfully, that's not the case. Ubisoft had the forethought to not give someone that higher of an optic. It only goes up to a 1.5, but this is probably going to be one of the stronger weapons on defense if you have the accuracy to back it up. The reason why I think DMRs don't work all that well on offense is mainly because you're usually going against Rook armor, which is going to require 1 extra shot if you're going against most operators, or a lot of 3 armored operators are much more popular. There aren't a lot of 3 armored operators on offense. And so what this means is that in most situations, it's only going to require 2 rounds to be able to drop basically every single person that you come across. It's going to be much more consistent and reliable to get that 2 down. It's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the right hands. And so in general, I am not entirely sure how Aruni is going to be impacting the game in the long run. The DMR sounds terrifying on paper on defense, but in reality, we've known for a long time that these weapons have been fairly lackluster, and so maybe for the first couple of weeks it seems too strong, but then after that people get comfortable to going against her and it's not as bad as we thought it was going to be. RPM is king in Rainbow Six Siege, and that's something that weapon obviously lacks significantly. Now that isn't the only thing that's going to be changing with this new season, because a few of the operators are seeing some pretty hefty nerfs and buffs. Jäger in particular is gonna be one of them. You guys may have noticed that he has had probably one of the highest pick rates and win rates on defense for literally years now. He's become a staple on defense, and while Ubisoft has done a couple of things to try to reduce that pick rate, it really hasn't done a whole lot. With this season, they're trying to remedy that. What they're doing is that his gadget is now going to have a cooldown. You place it down like you normally would, and if anything flies on through, like a nade, it will zap it, but then it will deactivate for 10 seconds. This will then give offense that brief little window to throw a nade in and take out the deployable shield or whatever they're trying to use that nade on. The caveat to all of this though is that his gadget now has infinite charges. So after that 10-second window, it's ready to go. And if you wait another 10 seconds after that, it's once again going to be able to take out any nade that passes on through. So you're going to have a little bit of coordination and teamwork to work around it. Who knows? Maybe this is going to have the opposite effect, where if you have a Wamai and a Jaeger defending one area, you literally cannot pass on through. You throw in all of your flashes, Wamai takes a couple of them, Jaeger takes a few, and then they're right back reactivating after you thought you got through every single one of them. So you're never able to push from that side because they're always reactivating. building. That's a distinct possibility. The hope that I have, though, is that this finally puts him in a well-balanced state. We should not have a character in this game that has a 90% pick rate, and that's where he's been for like years now, which is something that they needed to address. Now, he isn't the only one that's getting nerfed this season, because Echo is going to be seeing some pretty big changes. For the longest time, Echo has been one of the most frustrating operators to go against, not only because of his great ability to relay information to his teammates, but also to deny plants. And so what Ubisoft is doing to remedy this is that now his little drones are no longer going to be able to cloak. It's been completely removed. Now, I have a suspicion this is going to have a couple of ramifications. First of all, I don't think that he's going to get sidelined nearly as often as he used to, if at all anymore. And this is also going to change up his playstyle. You are now not going to be able to place this in key locations and just stun or tell your teammates what's happening. You're going to have to use it much more proactively. You're going to have his drone in a sneaky spot and then jump up as they're about to plant, get that disorient effect off, and then run away. Or you're gonna have to use it throughout the round, just being a nuisance. You're not gonna be able to use the stealth to your advantage anymore. You're gonna have to try to use the movements of the actual drone to try to get that advantage. Now, is this finally going to make Echo a well-balanced operator? It's hard to say. I think it's really gonna depend on how players adapt. It could be where it's exactly where he should have been day one. He shouldn't have something that had this cloaking ability, or it could go in the opposite direction where they've gone way too far and now people would much rather just use like a Valkyrie or a Mozzie because they just bring more to the table. It's really going to depend on how players react to this kind of a change. The final operator that's seen some adjustment this season is Hibana, and she's getting a pretty big upgrade. I gotta admit, I was not expecting her to see this kind of a buff, but what Ubisoft has done is that they've made her gadget much more versatile. You can now select how many pellets you want to fling towards a wall. 6, 4, or 2. This is gonna open up so many more possibilities. If you wanted to open up a hatch, you can now open up 4 of them. Admittedly, there aren't a lot of maps where you need to open up 4 different reinforced hatches, but it might happen, like on Bank in particular, if you're trying to make your way down into the basements. This also means if you're trying to take out a Mira, for example, and you're not really sure if anyone's on the defensive team is in a position to be able to take out your pellets, you just have to fling 2 towards it instead of all 6. So instead of wasting all of those pellets, you now can just use those 2 and try to open that on up. The amount of ways that you're now going to be able to use her gadget in different ways has just increased significantly, and it's going to make her a much more versatile character. And so I will admit, I was a bit surprised to see her get a big buff like this. I never really felt like Hibana was in a weak spot, but I think that they're really just trying to solidify her as being one of the most versatile hard breachers, but also the one that you use to open up hatches. Like if you're trying to get through a hatch, Hibana is now going to be the best option. The last major change that's coming with this season is that Ubisoft has finally recognized that runouts are not very enjoyable when you're on the receiving end, especially as newer players. When you don't understand the maps, you don't know all the different locations and all the different ways that people can run outside of the building, to get taken out in that way, especially at the beginning of a match, is incredibly frustrating. Rainbow Six Siege is a difficult game to get involved with, and so what they're doing is the run out timer for offense to be notified that you have run outside is now only going to take 1 second. This is going to have pretty big implications. This means that if you just simply jump out of a window and then immediately turn around and jump back in, they'll know that you jumped out of said window. It's really going to restrict you in that capacity. And so if you are someone who does want to take the risk and see what's on the outside, you're going to have to run the gambit and let people know of your location. And that information could be key to offense winning the match. This is also going to make certain run out spots not nearly as viable, where normally you had plenty of time to get into that perfect location to pre-fire the spawn. Now offense is going to be notified even faster, and so hopefully it's going to put you at a disadvantage, which honestly I think is exactly how it should be. The outside of the building should be the safe base for offense, which right now that really isn't the case in a lot of situations. And so I just think that this is a fantastic change that probably should have happened a long time ago. It's going to be great for newer players who are just getting involved, and also for people who have been here since the very beginning who don't really like that whole run out play style. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. A lot of major changes are coming with this next season. Some that we were expecting and some not so much. And so give me your guys' thoughts. Are you excited about the changes to Hibana? Are you thinking that Echo is finally going to be in a well-balanced position? Give me your guys' thoughts down below. I do plan on streaming the new season of Rainbow Six Siege on the technical test servers on my Twitch channel. And so if you would like to join me for that, there's always that link down below. But yeah, guys, until next time, have a good one and take it easy.